Well, g'day viewers. It's now Monday, the 12th of January, and this is part 2 of our video on Royal Guard. So it's approximately 23 degrees outside, which I forgot to look up how much Fahrenheit that is. Never mind. Welcome to another super cool repair video from the Goat Shed. Now I've got the camera pointed at the trip bank at the rear there. Let's just try and get in a little bit closer if we can. And what I want to show you is, we've talked about this before, you can see this sitting up here, and you can see the bank's on a bit of an angle running downhill. Well, I hope you can. Now the idea of this is we should be able to undo that wing nut, but we can't because it's jammed in the groove here. So this is the way we've received it, and we've just checked it out. This is how we've got it. So this trip bank would possibly have not worked properly, because what that does, it throws out the relationship of this reset bar to the switch stacks, and it can cause you problems. Now if we come around the back here, we can see that this is actually the reset relay, that'll give you a lot of problems. And one will not have a coil on it, and then we have target relays, different colours, etc. So, you know, it's possible that we may not have got a reset on this. Once again, this is why you do a visual inspection of your pinball machine. So, what we're going to do now, we're probably going to have to hammer that up and out, Graham.
Yeah, might.
Yeah. There you go, a bit of gentle persuasion, we were able to prise that up. So the reality was that the wing nut was jammed in there, in that groove. I mean, they must have had a terrible time trying to get it in. Someone in a hurry, not experienced, not familiar, has done it. So what we'll be doing now, we'll be cleaning all the rollers on here. We always do that, and we're going to visually check everything else to see what's going on. Now, a couple of things that you look around and you find, we've inserted the snap target assembly back in, so that's what we did our last video on. We've now looked for anything else that's obvious. Now, the first thing we notice is that we've got a coil which has gotten pretty hot here. It measures out okay, so that's a good thing. We've got some really dirty switches we've got to clean, and we've got to clean all the switches on the back of those snap targets first. Now, what else can we see at a cursory glance? This is the switch that bolts onto the drop target assembly. What we're going to have to do is give that a bit of a clean up, and where it actually goes, that's the bracket there for it. I guess that's like the cut-off switch.
Yeah, it goes on that peg there, along that spring.
Yeah, okay. Alright. So it looks a bit damaged at the end, the switch here itself. We'll have a good look at that. So we can see the ender strokes, which is have been more or less,
they're no good,
bent. So new ones go in. So we put a whole flipper kit in.
Yeah, we'll take them out in a minute.
Now I think, let's have a look. We've got the old cranks here somewhere. Well, that of course is the pop bumper bracket, all buffed and shined up on the buffing wheel. Look, we like to make them look pretty. I was taught if you can't clean something, to make it look like you've at least worked on it, probably best not to work on it. Have a bit of pride in your workmanship. So we always clean them up, so the whole 4 have been done. But I mentioned the flipper cranks there a minute ago, and they're pretty worn out. Now there's two different styles of flipper cranks in this. This is the one with the set screws in it, and that's the correct one. And there's the movement in it, it's pretty bad. And it's got another one, or later style one, with the actual screw in it, but it's got a bit of wire on it, so we'll have to fix all that up, and it's not too good also. So hence we're going to put a flipper kit in it. Now a lot of people sort of say to us, you go to a lot of trouble pulling steppers apart right down to the frame. Why do you do that? Well, it's quite simple. These machines, or step units in general, have not been worked on to that degree since the machine left the factory. Most likely. Now, you know we have a philosophy, do it right, do it once. I often see videos where people have just, particularly on the reset arm, the screw, the shoulder screw that goes through there, spray it with a bit of isopropyl and wiggle it around a few times and away it goes. Well, that's true, it will work to a degree, but you've still got grease on there, particularly if it's one of those games where Gottlieb used the white grease. You'll have problems. So that's why we pull them apart, and that way you can discover other broken parts. Now, you know, if you follow us on our YouTube, we did a video on a step unit where the drive arm was driving in, or diving in, toward the escapement wheel, and there was no rhyme nor reason for that. Well, it turned out that the bearing was worn. One of these bearings here. Remember that? It was lifting away from the drive arm because the back of the bearing had just about worn through. Well, it's a bushing, isn't it? And I'm talking about the brass bearings there. Now, little things like that. Now, that doesn't happen in every game, but it happens. So it is important to pull them apart, otherwise you're not going to see these things. Well, I'm used to them anyway, so that's the way we do it, but like we say, how difficult is it to unsolder a few wires and undo a few screws to take something apart? Yeah, we had a guy the other day, you know, he had a problem with a replay unit. Now, that problem was, it was subtracting every credit off the game as soon as he started the game, and he couldn't figure out why. Well, as soon as I saw the picture of it, you could see that the reset arm was sticking up in the air because it was seized up on the pivot screw. Now, if he had pulled that all apart and pulled it down correctly, he would have found that. So instead he had to double his work. So that's my philosophy, and I'm going to stick with that. Alright, we've got a lot more to do on this now. We'll be showing you the motorboard soon. Yep. So,
flipper kit's just arrived.
Oh, the flipper kit's arrived. There you go. Must have come by goat mail or something.
Oh, down at Bunnings.
Graham just said down at Bunnings. For those overseas viewers, Bunnings is a large store such as Home Depot or Lowe's in the USA. That's our answer to them, but our Bunnings would fit inside one of your stores quite easily. So that's just a bit of a joke. When we do pinball parts, we'll go to Bunnings.
Oh, four. Near the back glasses.
Yeah. So we've got that to fit now. And all the relays to clean. So let's get to it and carry on. Well, moving on from the playfield, we've completed that. Now, the only thing we found on that playfield, if you recall, there was a slightly browny, burntish looking flipper coil. Well, it measured out okay, but when we had a really close look at it, what the problem was it had been wired incorrectly. So you've got your 3 pins on your flipper coil. The middle one is part of the circuit for the secondary winding in the coil, and the 2 outside ones for the primary winding in the coil. Well, normally the power goes on one side on the right lug or the left lug, and the common goes on the other. This one had the power from the harness going to the middle, which is incorrect, so clearly that would have had something to do with that. Now, having a look at this motor board, it's dirty, it's filthy. This isn't a restoration. I don't believe we're going to take that off and clean it up 100%. We have cleaned it a little bit. Top of the score motor was really bad. That's just been cleaned very lightly so far. Now next job will be to pull out the ball count unit. It's gotten better as I've operated it, but it was actually going sort of backwards before it would go forward. You can sort of see it hesitating a little bit there. It's counted right up. It's restoring okay, but look, what do we say this game was? 1968? So 56 years of neglect. It's the old story. The spring on the other side here, the big long spring, has been hacked. This will need a bit of service. I'm not restoring all that well. We have a broken motor brake over here. The motor brake is broken. We'll need to replace that, and we'll go through all the relays. Now, other than that, we haven't found anything too sinister, but one thing we are going to do, we're going to replace the line cord with a new one. Once again, this cord's very, very old. It doesn't look in the best of condition, and here it is here. Big old thick thing, been on there for 100 years. So we'll fix that. We'll replace that. There's a big resistor here. Not sure if that's in shot. It looks a little burnt. We'll measure that. I'll have a look at the schematic and see what that's supposed to be. We may need to replace that. So we have a series relay, a V 50-point relay, a J 500-point relay, a match relay. They moved away from the match relay after a while. Then what have we got? We've got a 30-volt hold relay, a third chute, and a 2-play relay, which was out of its cone. So then we've got all the trip bank to go through. Now the bit of paper that tells you what the coils are fell off, and we've retrieved that, so we'll staple or glue that back down later. All in all, there's not a lot of problems to deal with here that we can see. I'll bet you we find a few maybe broken wires though, or cold solder joints when we're searching through. Don't want to do too many now, you don't want to break too many off at once. So that's where we're up to now, so we'll get ahead and do all our stuff. We'll have to do the braid on the wiper. That's a bit of wire there's no good. Can you see anything else, Graham?
No, I'm just looking at the motor. See if there's any spaces missing, or the dogs are in the wrong spot. Looks pretty good. Except for the actual board, everything's not too bad cleaned up. Should clean up alright.
Yeah, so stack 1. No.
That's 2 there.
Stack 1, stack 2, stack 3 always on the angle.
Yep.
Stack 3.5 and stack 4. And stack 2, the dog's in the long position. Oh, I beg your pardon, the short position.
Yeah, well, this braid.
They're no good.
The braid's this hard braid.
We'll replace that with some of that good stuff.
Yeah.
Some of the factory stuff.
That shoe's a bit flat too, but we'll see.
Alright, we'll pull that off and have a look.
Yep.
Okay, people, we'll carry on. And we'll show you the end results. So we've found a couple of things on this motor board for Royal Guard. You can see that's a new resistor there. Now the schematic calls for a 10 ohm 10 watt resistor, and that's what that one is there. Peel that back there, you can see that. What was in it was one of the old brownish coloured, I don't know, I used to call them ceramic type resistors. It had a big burn mark through it. I'm just looking for it now, I don't know, we might have chucked it out. But it was measuring at nearly 39 ohms, so 3 times the value, so we had to change that. It's hooked onto a switch in the series relay, which is the P for Peter relay. Now, well, we've completed the motor board, like done everything we had to, the ball count units all back in. When we put it back in the game, we found out that the D relay wasn't tripping, or the DD rollover relay, this one here. So that particular relay is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in. Alright, now what we decided to do we better check that with a multimeter and see what's going on for the ohms. And there's the one next to it, which is the CC relay. It measures at 3.9 ohms. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to take my probe off there and I'm going to hook it on to the other one, which I think's there. And look what we've got. We've got open loop. Now I suspect what's the matter with that relay, or that coil, we've got, it's an A1118, there we got one there, brand new. I think one of the windings might have come off the lug, or it's either broken inside for it to be open loop. So we're going to remove that now and investigate and see what needs to happen there. So let's go ahead and do that. So first job is to unsolder the coil. So there was the power side, and then we've just got to get it off the, I might have to help him there, couldn't be in a worse spot. Then off the common, just lift it up till it cools. Alright, we've done that. Now we'll just undo the screw on the coil. They're only a little short screw. They don't go in far. Okay, that coil's loose. Now we've just got to orient the trip bank up in the air. Right, so we just get a block of wood and so that holds up in the air. Now we've just got to disconnect the spring. That's the armature plate spring. And there, that comes off. Now the armature will slide out. Now, I have done videos on this before, people. We thought, well, we might as well show you. I know a lot of people don't go back and view a lot of videos, so sometimes we feel we're repeating ourselves, but he's got it caught now.
They're going to come out easy or...
No, they don't.
Oh, she's cooked big time.
Oh, yeah, look at the coil, people. Have a go at it. Don't know if the light's good enough. There you go. She's no good. Oh yeah, there's a coil coming out in a million pieces.
Look at that. She's gone.
She's had it, that coil. Now there's bits of the burnt coil in there. You can see that there? The cardboard end, so we're now going to have to peel that away. So, there you go. Yeah. That's what it was, people. See there? Is there any more in there, Graham?
I think there should be, unless it's bloody...
It's probably disintegrated and fallen out over time. So there's the coil in place. Now what we've got to do, we're just going to have to remove our little block of wood, hold onto that coil and put the screw back in. There you go. Now what we'll do, we'll get our spring screwdriver. Now this is our spring screwdriver. I made that about 50 years ago. What it is just a shaft of a metal shaft with some spring steel in the end. See the screws holding in there. We're not even dropping it. What we're going to do, we're going to line the hole up. You can almost see he's got it. Now you only start the screw with this. You do not tighten it, because you'll break the screwdriver blades. It's a bit fiddly, I mean. It's best you see that, you know, nothing's perfect. There, he's got it. All in place now. Now we've just got to bend the lugs accordingly on the end of the new coil, the A1118. Alright, the wires are all soldered back in now. There's the new coil sitting in there, so we've just got to put the armature plate back in.
Actually, I'll give it a buff. It's pretty cool.
Let's have a look.
It's been cooked.
Oh yeah, there you go, people. We're going to buff that on the buffer and maybe use the Dremel.
Yeah, see how it looks.
Fix it up a bit.
If it's going to be too bad, we'll just replace it.
So it's always handy to have a lot of parts like we have. Here's all the, that had fallen off. That was in the bottom of the machine, the label. So we've got the tilt, start, game over, B roll over, D roll over, which is the one we work on, C roll over, sequence switches, and roll over relay and roll over relay. Yeah, look at that, what Graham just said.
You will need the same one.
So just a little bit of a buff. Was that the soft buff or the heavy?
Hard buff.
The hard buff wheel.
Yeah, in the hard. So
okay. So now it just goes in the opposite way it came out.
It can be fiddly.
There, we've just got it resting on the edge. Now it's just got to go in the little hole there, half in. They're fiddly. Yeah, he's got it in. And notice you lift this up out of the road, this bar. Well, actually, you lift the armature.
You can do it. No.
Actuation plate.
Okay, now when you put the spring on, the one that's bent at the bottom goes at the bottom. So
you see that? It's bent. There you go, bit of focus, right. Now the reason that is so that that's the orientation of the spring, so the spring doesn't pop off. There, he hooks it on there, then you'll just get the spring hook. Just on the other side. No, he didn't have it on right.
What reason you can't see?
There it is, all in place.
Looks perfect.
Now, what we'll do, we'll just get the meter out. So there we are, it's all back in place, everything's soldered up. Check the ohms, and there it is, 3.9 ohms. Now, just one other thing, people, just move your hand out the road there, Graham. This is the common wire going through there, so you just need to hook that onto any part of the common.
Yeah, it'll be right.
And you can check any individual one. So there's how to quickly replace a coil in a sequence bank. It's not terribly hard to do.
Yeah, it's not that hard.
Now, that probably took us about, on and off, maybe no more than about 15 minutes.
Here's another tip. The best way to do it is take the motorboard out of the game.
Oh yes, yeah. Like that's, as you notice, we haven't got the motorboard in the game. Yeah.
You can do it in the game, but it's a hell of a lot easier.
Much more awkward. Maybe a young fellow with a flexible back could do it.
Yeah.
What do you reckon, Spanky? Where is that goat? There he is. He's happy now. Okay. Well, we ought to put this back in the game and continue testing. That's how we worked out there was something wrong. We actually had put it in the game. It didn't work. Alright, we're just carrying on with the repair on this Royal Guard. We're up to the turning it on part and seeing that everything works okay. After replacing that faulty coil in the control bank, it should go. But what I thought I'd do, I just wanted to explain to you a little bit about that resistor we had to change. Now, you all remember that white resistor in the middle of the motorboard. Well, we got to talking about that and thought, why is it there in the first place? Well, one of the main reasons is that it's actually a part of the series relay. Now, a series relay normally is very, very low ohms. Now, if we have a look over here, we'll just tell you that the P relay in this one is a 9733. Now, they changed that number a little later on, I think, to 9736. But what the concept here is that you have the P relay located, where are we? We've just got to find the damn thing now. Where are you? Oh, up here, of course. Now, it's connected to the snap targets and the snap target relay coils through this little area of the circuit here. But if you come down here a little further, you'll see a switch marked P. Now, whenever you see anything like that, that's the hold-on switch for that circuit. Now, follow this a little bit further and it goes through our resistor, our 10 ohm 10 watt resistor. It comes down here, all the way over here to motor 2B, which is a normally closed switch. And motor 2B is a hold-on switch. So this P relay actually has its own hold-on circuit, which is quite rare. I've not noticed this ever before. Graham and I were talking to our colleague Tony the other day about this, and he agreed he hadn't seen it either. So it's simply a hold-on circuit for the P relay. There's the P relay coming through, back down here to that switch, and it's got a brown and black on one side and a blue, whoops, no, brown and black, and what's it got on the other side? Where is it? Oh, blue and red. So with that 10 ohm 10 watt resistor. So as I said, it's worth changing. This could give you trouble up the track, and we just felt it well worth talking about because it's a little bit, shall we say, unusual to say the least. Now with Royal Guard, it's got some interesting features. Let's go and have a look at the machine. Alright, so we're set up ready to do a reset. Essentially, we didn't have to do a lot of troubleshooting on this game. It's more or less turned out quite okay. Any of you that watched our previous video on Royal Guard, the snap target rebuild, may recall that we mentioned that one of the coils was incorrect. It actually had a A1496 coil instead of an A4893 coil. Now there was about 1.3, 1.4 ohms difference. Well, the A1496 coil, which is the incorrect one, was on the right hand side of the snap target assembly, and we noticed periodically that the right side would fail to go home correctly. So after having a little look at it and analysing it a bit further, it seemed mechanically to be okay, so we said, well, okay, let's give it a go with a 4893 coil. So we changed it over. It was relatively easy to do. It was just a matter of undoing two nuts and the coil bracket came off. Changed it over and it's worked flawlessly ever since. So for a reason, it had to be a 4893 like the factory said. Not that anyone ever doubted it, we just thought, well, maybe it'd have been working okay with that other one in it. It probably hadn't. Alright, let's do a reset and see what happens. Oh, the only other thing to do with the reset, motor switch 1A, which controls the resetting of all 4-score reels in this case, was gapped a little widely apart, and we felt the reset appeared erratic. Now we'll run it and we'll see what happens. There you go, it's all pretty good. We've got an alternating relay there making a little bit of noise. Might have to have a little look at that, but with the glass on you'll hardly notice it. That's why we've got one point up there. I just operated it to change it. Hear that? It comes back. Then it goes away. Alright. So, fair bit of work happened under the playfield on this game. We actually changed the flipper kit out. Pop bumper kit, plus we had two rings that were loose. We've done the slingshot and ball kicker assemblies, re-sleeved those, and the slingshots were a bit bindy on the pivots, just cleaned them up with a bit of kerosene. We overhauled the snap targets, as you know from our previous video. Now, Royal Guard's got some interesting little features on it. It's quite a fun little game to play. So up the top you've got the rollovers A, B, C, D, E. There they are up there, and we'll still be able to see the score. So the idea is, if you get, it's a 50 point, but if you get them all out, the special lights up in the in the middle on the C. So that's a bit of a skill shot, and you can get a replay. Now, with the snap targets, the way they work, at the moment, the snap target is over on the right, and you can see all the lights are all alight, the green, yellow, red, and purple. Same here. But in this instance now, if I hit the green snap target, the green pop bumper will light up. As you can just see, it did. Now if I hit the purple one over here, the purple lamp up in the top left corner lights up. So if I get them all out, there's the yellow pop, there's the green light up in the corner, there's the red pop, there's the yellow light up in the corner, and we'll get the purple pop, and we get the red here. That now means that we've got all the side lanes for 500 points and the guts for 500 points alight. And we've got a machine now where we can really go for things. So you have a look up here where Spanky is. I'm going to roll over one of the outside rollovers, and that's 500 points. If I hit a snap target, which is a little bit out of shot, we'll just get that in shot, it's going to be 50 points. Now, over here, on the right, I have, this will alternate, right special, left special, right special, left special, right special. So if I hit the right special fan, we'll get a replay. If I was to plunge the ball and roll over the C, I'll get a replay. So let's just fire the ball. Oh, look at that. Oh, and again. So once you get those features, it can be a really nice and interesting game to play. So remember, there was an animal version of this machine called Palace Guard. Now the other thing you'll notice, and I'll just get the ball in a second when it comes back to me. Oh, we're at 15 replays now. The other thing you'll notice, there's no bells on this game now, which is a shame. Now you listen, I'll hear the hit 1 point, and the more pronounced noise will be the match unit or the 0 to 9 unit moving. Thump, thump, thump. No bell. No bell for 50 points. No bell for 100 points. There's none simply there. Now, we did a bit of a costing the other day for the owner, and we believe that if the owner wants to purchase those bells, I think for someone like, I think it was around about 200 Australian dollars, 200 plus including shipping, he can get those from the Pinball resource. But we'll have to ask him. It's not up to us, it's not our decision. For my money, I'd get the bells, because remember, you've got a bell, a 3-inch bell for 1 point, a 3-inch bell for 10 point, and then it's actually got a gong in it, this one as well. I had the prices written down for the guy. So alright, so that's the upshot of Royal Guard. Don't think there's too much more we can tell you about it, except that it's now a classic 1960s pinball machine up and running again for the owner to enjoy. Now, I believe that what will happen, this guy will be able to take it back. He hasn't used it for 20 years, and hopefully he keeps it and or passes it down to family to keep it going for a long, long time. He seemed to indicate that. Alright, well look, thanks very much for watching this video. Spanky appreciates it. Don't forget about our Facebook group, the Goat Shed EM Pinball Repair Specialists. Just earlier this morning we surpassed 4,000 members. Now, we're not wanting to be the biggest pinball group in the world. No, we're not. Well, the EM Pinball Group holds that record. But when this started, it was all just to keep locals informed of what we were doing, and it's just blossomed and ballooned into this. Our YouTube videos, this is our 230th video, I believe. So we're going to keep making those, and we're going to try and do a few a month for you. Bear in mind, we only work 4 hours a day, if that. Keeps us busy. So what do you reckon, Spanky? This has been another Goat Shed presentation.